Good morning. It is a muggy and hot but beautiful summer morning here in East Tennessee Shire. And I thought we would start with the horses. They're very friendly, as you can see. They'll walk right up to you and talk to you, but they're busy grazing this morning. I'm sure it being so hot, they've spent a lot of calories. So, look at this little guy here. Hi, little guy. Hi. Yeah. I just thought this would be a nice way to start the video this morning. Saying howdy to the horses by the pond, having a graze. So, in the last week, I have made myself not pay attention to politics. Last Thursday, I had planned on having a Gulag Cafe to talk about the mind war on us as Western white people, especially in the Anglosphere, that makes us feel like we should be at war with countries around the world, namely Iran or Russia or whatever. And that's what I was going to talk about last week, but then a giant lightning storm came by and knocked out the power in the internet for like 3 or 4 hours. So I didn't stream last Thursday. So basically, I didn't do much at all last week other than try to escape. Read books, read websites, played video games, played a little Switch, played some Darktide. I just escaped and didn't want to think about the culture war, this racial war that we're in, politics, the ugly geopolitical wars that are going on right now. I just wanted to escape from it all. And it felt great. And I have never seen my mother and my husband more happy with me when I put all that stuff down. And just like they've been telling me for years, they want me to be done with all of this. It's both nice and depressing at the same time to think that well-intentioned, relatively based people, on the one hand, celebrate me being happy and want me to be happy with them. That's a good thing. But it's also depressing that they celebrate not caring. They celebrate just switching it all off and not being invested in anything bigger than our tiny little pocket of microcosm here in East Tennessee. And it makes me wonder if I'm wrong for caring and wanting to do things. Because it's not brought me anything really positive in the 10 years I've been at this. Not really anything at all. If anything, it's robbed me of joy, peace, content, and robbed me of years of emotional, fulfilling time with my loved ones that I can never get back again. That's what me being passionate about this war has done for me. And it just sort of put me in a really sour place. Because, like I mentioned last week, my mother's husband is really messed up. He needs a liver transplant. He's quote unquote beaten his recurring cancer 3 times. So, he's on a list for a transplant, but even if he does get qualified for one, a full liver transplant is a serious surgery. And he might not even make it off the operating table because of all of his other conditions. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But she's been really wanting to spend time with me and talk to me because, she's facing her own mortality and all of that stuff. And it's been nice spending quality time with her and him. He's not my family. He's just the guy that she remarried, years and years after I was grown. So, but he's a nice guy. I like him. He's a good guy. And I enjoy spending time with the both of them. But they both have that boomer mindset of, well, I don't need to go into it. You already know. And then the couple of friends I talked to, my cousin, and the loose association of friends that are like really close to me that I talk to, they all just laugh at politics and stuff. They laugh it off. like it's something we can ignore. Like it's something we can just do nothing about and the problem will go away. And I used to, years ago, make the point of, well, if we all just don't care, then the people who do care will take power and do whatever they want to us. And that argument point never really landed with any of them or convinced them to do anything differently than they were already doing. And so, what was it, Friday? Saturday? No, it was Wednesday. Wednesday of last week, I was talking to my mother. And I told her, I said, how is it that you just cannot care about all this stuff going on? Because she's one of the most switched on local people I talk to about knowing there's a problem with, white erasure, never-ending war machine, getting people killed for Israel, that kind of, like, she's one of the most switched on people that I talk to in my personal sphere about any of this. And I don't like her answer. She said, number one, it's the boomer thing of she'll be dead soon. And number two, it's a religious thing. She says, well, it's all part of God's plan. Now, to me, I have always hated Christian copium. It sickens me to think that, well, this is the religion of martyrs. Pour that misery on me so I get good boy points. Like, that element of Christianity sickens me, and it needs to be excised and thrown in the trash. I hate that. But so many Christians that I've tried to argue with and deal with, especially older than I am, they have this mentality of, well, we are just meant to go through life like a leaf on the wind, saying and doing the Christian stuff, and that's it. And everything else is in God's hands. That is not at all what I feel like religion or Christianity or any of that New Testament shit tells us to do. Like I told you guys, I was very interested in knowing what the New Covenant was and understanding modern Christianity. And so between, I think it was 98 and 2000 or something like that, I went and attended a serious in-depth Bible study on the New Testament with professional theologian people. And I studied a lot about the New Testament and what Christianity is now. And I don't think there's anything in the New Testament or the New Covenant that says, don't do anything. Just be nice and say you love Jesus, and God will do everything. That was not in any of the things that we studied. But that is the mentality of like most Christians I talk to. I'll be dead soon. This life doesn't matter. It's all in God's hands. I don't care if the government conscripts all of the young men in my family to go die for Israel or for, I don't know, Russia or Ukraine or whatever, right? I don't care how bad it gets. I don't care if every business is going to be bought. Ooh, wow, it got dark in here. Let me turn the camera around so it will balance the video here. Okay, there we go, it's working. It's like they don't care if it's, demographic dominance of white erasure. They don't care if companies and foreigners come in and buy up everything and shut out all the local businesses and throw up a Costco or a Walmart or whatever else, right? A Lowe's. They just don't seem to feel motivated at all on a religious, spiritual level. And I find that extremely frustrating and ugly that so many people that I've encountered have that as a Christian belief. In fact, now that I think about it, I think that going back in time, that's one of the things that really turned me off about Christianity as a youngster, that led me to being a Christian-hating atheist for a while. I think it's because of the pathetic nature of all of the Christians around me. How they didn't seem motivated to actually care and do anything that made this world, the life in this world, better. And I find that disgusting. Ooh, I think that was a deer that jumped behind me. I heard a big noise. But I had to talk to my mother this week, right? And she said that she's prayed about her husband's health and the surgery coming up and what will be, will be. And I asked her, I said, well, have you looked into, and I talked about transplant stuff, healing, dietary things. She said, yeah. She said, we have been studying and looking into, she told me all of these different types of procedures and dietary plans that for weeks now, she and her husband have been reading stuff online, talking to people in Zoom calls that work at the clinic where he's going to get the transplant surgery, and doing absolutely everything that the both of them can to really engage with this life challenge. Talking about changing up diet, maybe moving somewhere else to change the climate as they get older, if he's going to have, be more sensitive to heat and humidity, that kind of thing. And so during the conversation, I just said, you seem to care more about this than you do any of the stuff that I've ever told you about that's going wrong with America and with Christianity. And she looked at me with this dumbfounded look on her face, like I was speaking an alien language. She just didn't comprehend the point I was making. And it goes back to what I said a week or two ago. I don't think most people can care about this bigger picture stuff. I just don't think that it's in them to do it. Maybe it's because I'm speaking with older people who are already set in their ways and they're from that boomer mindset of before internet culture and all of that. I don't know. But it was like I said something that broke her programming, and she didn't know how to respond, so she didn't. After several moments of her just sort of dumbfoundedly contemplating, she responded with, well, he's my husband. This is the most important thing in my life. I have to care about him, or something like that. And I guess that's true. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it makes me feel like all this shit that I've been doing and caring about for the last 10 years just doesn't fucking matter anyway. Who the hell am I going to inspire? What the hell have I really done with my life for the last 10 years? If this is the state of people, then the people who are already aware and switched on are. And the people who aren't can't be. So what the fucking point is any of this? It put me in a funk. So, anyway. The good news is, I've been enjoying stuff again. I even painted some miniatures. Remember how almost exactly a year ago, I got back in touch with friends who play tabletop games, and I spent a few $100 buying miniatures to paint and play with them, and then I got sick of it because it just felt like a pointless exercise. Well, I made myself get miniatures back out, and I made myself paint some more, and I made myself go visit them and play with them again about a week ago. It was okay. I didn't really enjoy it. I barely enjoy the company. I don't know. I just feel like I have nothing in common with these people anymore. And that's the problem. I don't have anything in common with anybody anymore. I've been mainlining culture war and racial awareness for a decade. And now I don't have anything in common with anybody. Except frogs like you on the internet. And I don't hang out with you. I don't know any of you in the local area that I can hang out with and, do stuff with and play video games with and shit. It's like my whole life and my whole social circle now are just names on a screen and voices in the ether that I talk to and do stuff with on the internet. And I mean, it's better than being alone, I guess, but it's just weird. I feel like a stranger in my own personal life. And no matter what I do, I can't fix that. And it just sucks. And I have to deal with it every day. I know that a lot of these videos I say this problem, but this is like my counseling. It's what I do. I air my thoughts, I capture them, I listen to the responses that you guys provide, and I think on how I should change, what I should do differently. And I don't want to give up. Like, I am hopeful because more people notice things now more than ever. And I see a rising level of racial ethnic identity on both the North American continent and in our home continent of Europe. I see and hear about this stuff on the rise everywhere in every direction. Maybe I can give up. Maybe I can just pull the cord and be like, well, see y'all. I put my hand on the boulder going up the mountain for 10 years. I guess that's enough. I'm just going to quit. I don't know. But what would I even do if I quit? Go work at Costco? Like, there's almost no work to be had out here. Almost none. I put in resumes and shit for the things I'm good at for like 3 or 4 years, barely ever got a call or a response. And you can't even call and show up to try to get a job anymore because it's all handled through third-party and internet shit. So it's like all the skills and people skills and all the stuff that I learned in the 80s and 90s and early aughts, none of it applies or matters anymore. It's like you have to just learn how to game the digital system just to get an interview. And I would rather fucking hang myself than deal with shit like that. I don't want to have to play that game. So that's one of the reasons why I don't just want to try to go get career work again. Because I feel like, number one, it'd be very hard to find in this area anyway. I'd probably end up having to move again. That's the whole reason that moved me away from this area in the first place. And I don't want to do that anymore. So, I don't know, man. I really wish that I could find some kind of homeostasis with culture war stuff, racial identity stuff, and feeling like I can connect on those levels with the people in my private life in some way. I've been beating my head against this wall for years and years trying to figure out how to make it all mesh together so I can not feel like a stranger playing pretend in my own personal life. I really want to figure out how to do that. Yeah, this video's gone on long enough, I reckon. Well, Lord willing, if there's no giant electric storm or nothing else happens, there will be a Gulag Cafe this week on Thursday. So hope to see you guys there then. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I wish you better success in your life and choices than mine, than I've had. And I'll see you Thursday night with Chris for more Gulag Cafe. Have a blessed week, everybody.